You know, and I know what they did was they taught Derek Chauvin a lesson. Teach him a lesson. And you can say whatever you want. You can say this stuff happens in prison. After all, who was this guy? He's some kind of a dirtbag, right? Right? Let me tell you something right off the bat. I'm here not to execrate or to defile the memory of George Floyd or Derek Chauvin. Chauvinism. I wonder if that is just a cruel pun somehow. But anyway, this is the Minneapolis cop who was convicted of murdering George Floyd in 2020 by what appeared to be kneeling on his neck, compressing, the cervical area, for more than 9 minutes. While bystanders objected and said, "You're killing him." And as far as procedures go, it is one of the most stupid ever allowed in the history and the annals of police procedure. Now, Friday, he was assaulted. I love the word assaulted. He was stabbed. He tried to kill him. This was in a Federal Correctional Institution in Tucson. And this was reported by someone, quote, familiar with the matter. Now, while not naming names in particular, the Bureau of Prisons did confirm that a prisoner was apparently sensibly attacked while at the prison and was given life-saving, efforts, kind of like, little typical, just an attack that requires life-saving measures. And prison officials apparently performed this on the prisoner. Then he was transported to a hospital. Nobody knows, because they're going to keep this as quiet as you possibly can. Now, Chauvin, I don't even know how you pronounce it, is concomitantly and simultaneously serving two particular sentences. 22 and a half years in Minnesota sentence for second-degree murder, and a 21-year federal sentence for violating Floyd's civil rights. I don't get that one. Civil rights normally implies doing something where the animus, where the reason for whatever you did was because of their race, their gender, there's something. Not that you killed somebody and that, oh yeah, there's this throwaway federal charge, which pretty much it is. So anyway, that's moot. Courts have reviewed this. I'm not going to second guess courts or appellate courts. I wasn't there. What are you going to do? But when you hear violating civil rights, that's a different story. I remember they tried to do that or they might have done it during the old Rodney King story, and they were asking the question then, did these police officers did what they did because he was black, or did you just do this to somebody who was a citizen, irrespective of any animus directed because of race or what have you? In any event, his lawyer, the Chauvin's lawyer, asked that he be kept from the general population for his own protection. And as you know, cops and former cops are targeted by bad people necessarily kept in bad places called prisons. Moving on through this, the Bureau of Prisons, let's go back a little bit. He's not exactly doing a bang-up job in terms of handling high-profile prisoners. Let's see. What comes to mind? Oh, 2019. 2019, the alleged suicide of one Mr. Epstein. Remember that one? And they're still, even Bill Barr said, "Oh, it's a suicide. They killed him. It's murder. It's homicide." Michael Baden said it. Petechial hemorrhaging, hyoid bone shattered, fractured, thyroid cartilage, etc., etc. Then there was later on. Larry Nassar. Remember in 2023, this is the sex doctor or the sports doctor who was sexually abusing people. Here's another one too. There was also an incident at this Tucson federal prison in November of 2022 where an inmate at the facility's, quote, low security prison camp apparently pulled out a gun and attempted to shoot a visitor. Luckily, that didn't happened. Pulled out a gun? Now, let me see if we can explain this to you, okay? First and foremost, we weren't there. We don't know. Blah, 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 blah. You always have to say that. Never in the history of any kind of case could you have a worse picture than to have this knee on the neck, apparently compressing what it looked like to most people of Floyd, who was down and was under control. That's a fact. But what's interesting about this is the part which is amazing. Remember what he was arrested for. He was arrested for trying to buy cigarettes with a $20 bill. And according to this post-mortem, this tox report, they said that they found fentanyl, norfentanyl and methamphetamine in his blood, among other things. And the only reason why I bring that up is if that does not create for you a reasonable doubt as to the cause of death. Reasonable doubt. Criminal cases involved beyond a reasonable doubt, meaning you can find him guilty, but make sure that you say that in no way could there be any other factors, health, something intervening, drug intoxication. There was a fellow who was arrested, or who was trying to be arrested on Staten Island for selling loosies, these loose cigarettes. Store owners called the cops, New York City cops, and said, get him out of here. He was overweight, not in good shape, had many prior arrest records, fought the police, and ostensibly, they said, died of an asthma attack or something in the ambulance on his way. So the question there became, did he die because of asthma? Did he die because of some intervening reason? Or did he die because the police killed him? And when you say, did you kill him, you're under arrest. We allow police to do things to suppress the movement and to subdue the movement of people that regular citizens can't do. And the first thing I would have done, I wasn't there, maybe they did this, was to have every police officer testify that what Chauvin did, or Chauvin, or whatever his name is, what he did was exactly consistent with his training. That if there is a problem, if there is a reason to blame, if there is a reason to find anyone guilty, it would be the individuals, it would be the training facilities and the government folks who allow this kind of subduing to take place in the first place. That's what it was. Now look, Chauvin is not a hero. Chauvin is not anybody to be. I'm not lauding him. I'm not saying anything about George Floyd. I remember we went through this horrible period of time, through this orchestrated Antifa BLM scrum, where, by the way, those who were involved in plywood futures made a fortune. That's in the past. That's behind us. It was unfortunate. Let me also tell you, they're planning this again. You're going to hear right now, sad to say, in the immediate future, I can guarantee you there's going to be someone who was considered to be probably a young black man who will die in police custody. Somebody along the line will find it problematic. They'll bring in Ben Crump and Sharpton. And the team, the shock troops, are already choreographed, ready to go, ready to implement the movements, the procedures, the organization, what to tweet, what to say, what to write, slogans. Remember Trayvon Martin? Remember that one? How they had Arizona tea and Skittles? Remember that story where we thought there was like a 5-year-old boy who was murdered? They showed this 15-year-old whatever picture. It was all, you have to have I can't breathe. You have to have this is organized. This is not happenstance. The same way goes for Palestinian marches. Not all, but a lot of them show all the earmarks of organizations like Atpor and others who really know what they're doing. That's another issue. The bottom line is this. If something happens, if he dies, or if anybody else dies, you know and I know that the first thing you're going to be saying, and people are going to be saying, is they did this on purpose. They did this to teach him a lesson. They did this just so that you remember who's in charge. The reason why prisons never, ever are really overturned, so to speak, fixed up, cleaned up, where focus is made, because number one, nobody cares, and number two, they remain still, in some particular cases, a great place to have people, shall we say, disappear. And nobody will say anything, because after all, they're prisons. Think about that. We'll talk more about that. Please like the video, subscribe, and all that stuff, and comment as you see fit.